afternoon, everyone. Hi, I'm Tom Gregorson. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for ATPCO. I'm really pleased and honored to be part of ATPCO and part of this amazing industry. This morning's sessions were absolutely fabulous. Really thought to myself of how much we progressed over my career. I just remember back, just looking at the videos earlier this morning, over 30 years ago, I started in the airline industry, and this is actually at the internet, starting the internet boom. And at that time, there wasn't even such a thing as automated pricing on a global scale. At ATPCO, we worked with you, our partners, our collaborators, the systems, the airlines, try to figure out how do we automate price calculation and low fare search in the marketplace. It was an amazing thing in 1990, and I think brought really a lot of fruits to the industry and how we make that happen. Fast forward now we're 30 years later. Product and price need to come together. We need to dynamically adjust and price our products and services to really make your tailored offer. So I think we're in a really good shape in the industry in order to how to make the next generation of distribution effective. I really believe in the next 10 years' time, all the things that I worked on in my last 30 years will be going away. Basically, low fare search is going to be going away and will be replaced by product-based search. That you'll see dynamic pricing will have many different flavors. So there's not going to be filed fares. There'll be other types of dynamic pricing, and those will go away. And even filed fares, the thing that ATPCO has been known for, they will not exist like they do today in 10 years' time. They'll be completely changed in a different transformational process. What we have seen since we started the dynamic pricing journey, in 2014, I remember to the day, I was sitting in IATA, sorry Sebastian, in IATA World Passenger Symposium meeting, and there was a panel of you, our friends and colleagues, sitting in there and saying, ATPCO filed fares will go away, that there will be no need for filed fares, there'll be no need for anything, dynamic pricing is going to take over the world. Well, I'm looking at the charts of it, and what we're seeing what's happened when we started that, so actually we took on the project. We said, let's hit that head on. Let's talk about dynamic pricing, let's work on dynamic pricing, let's innovate dynamic pricing with the industry. So in 2015, we started the dynamic pricing with a white paper, and we started working with the industry on how to better dynamically price your products. What we've seen at ATPCO is really the number of price points that we're helping you manage in the marketplace has grown each and every year. We were 150 million active fares products in the marketplace at the time. Now we're over 233 million price points that we're managed for it. And not only you talk about personalization, but it's not just that, because most of the growth you'll see is really in public fares. Public fare distribution is outpacing private or customized pricing in the marketplace. Those public price points give consumers more choice, more offerings, and better products and services to pick from. What ATPCO's role in the next 10 years? I'm a strategy guy. I'm supposed to be Chief Strategy Officer. So our strategy is really to enable how you get your dynamic product and price to the marketplace. We see the main change we're doing is we first need to hone in and sharpen the revenue management process or reinvent the revenue management process. We've been working very closely with our airline partners in order to be able to have better connectivity in the airline revenue management systems, which is uploading content to ATPCO and downloading content from ATPCO to drive the price calculation. In the last year, we've implemented over 30 APIs, which allows interactive connectivity between the RM system and the ATPCO systems in order to enable better flexibility in content creation and creation. We're also offering options for distribution. We will still have airlines that'll say, I want to have static pricing in the marketplace, and I'll have my availability up and down adjusted, and those will be priced and shopped as they are today in the marketplace. Great. We will have airlines that say, I want to do that for some products. I want to have rich content for all products. I want to have reference data like tax data for all products and all services. We'll use that through the ATPCO ecosystem. And then we want you to enable dynamic adjustments of those price points on the fly. So some of the price points be adjusted, or I want to complement that with an NDC offering in order to fill in the latter. Great. And then we see that other airlines are going to say, in some markets, some areas, some needs, I want to do NDC. So I'll change the paradigm. Instead of having price and automated rules do the segmentation in the marketplace, I'll have that all within my revenue management system. I will use my revenue management system to do my segmentation and do my calculation of my dynamic offerings based on content they're asking us to feed them of all the market prices, all the competitive pricing in the landscape, and use that to generate the price offering in order to have it distributed via the NDC. Great, we'll enable that. So what has been our dynamic pricing focus since 2015? It's really around these same mantras. First and foremost, we heard loudly from the airlines. There's $550 billion passenger revenues, more or less, going through the ATPCO infrastructure today. Don't mess it up. This is a scary world. We don't want to have something that dilutes our current revenue streams, so make sure that we continue to make sure that we have the revenues that we want to earn. Then, improve the capabilities for all different disciplines. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Some people want static pricing, some people want dynamic pricing, some people want contextual pricing, some people want static product, some people want contextual product. It depends on the market, it depends on the customer, it depends on the need. So improve them all. Make sure it's interoperable. At the end of the day, the airline has one infrastructure they have to manage, and they need to be able to have context of all the different pricing methods, all the different content methods, and make sure it's interoperable. Make sure it works. It does no good to do a lot of shopping, and you put shop results out there and I don't actually earn it. So shop to settle. Make sure that I actually earn the money I'm intended to earn, which are the standards that we try to enable. And then, of course, don't just worry about the easy ones. When I first started in pricing, anyone could do a one-way or a round trip. We work on the complete itineraries, the complex itineraries, the interline itineraries, so make sure it works in the complete landscape. And then last but not least, try to help us identify where we can add value and where there's going to be some risks or exposures so we can build our business case. And we're working closely with MIT and PODS, doing studies in order to help shape the landscape there. We've been working strongly also to align definitions. We actually last year rolled out this matrix, and I'm not going to go through the matrix, but it basically talks about static price to more flexible pricing. Static product, more flexible pricing, more contextual pricing. We gave that matrix and aligned with IATA because that was one of the things you've asked us to do. Can we have one industry definitional framework? They've used a very similar matrix, and I think we're going to land on one consistent framework that talks about the different flavors of pricing that we want to do. I thought it was very interesting. I was at a dynamic pricing working group by IATA 2 weeks ago, and just to show the state of the industry, we went to this matrix on the board and we said, put a use case on the board that we want to solve. Guess what? Every single square was filled out on that use case. There was valid use cases for all kinds of dimensions, which really reinforces the need to have flexible, static product and price. So now what? We really want to try to help you all get engaged in this process, all become more active in this process, all help us shape the future of dynamic pricing. So let's reduce the barriers. What are the barriers to entry? First barrier to entry is a complex topic. So let's try to simplify the model. So the one thing we're trying to do in this conference is roll out a more simplified dynamic pricing terminology and model to make it easier to understand. And then we're creating implementation guides to help you walk through the process in order to be able to try and test and learn more efficiently. On your desktop, there is actually the first view of this simplified guide. So basically, we've taken the dynamic pricing matrix and grouped it into 3 modules, 3 big buckets. There's optimized pricing, there is adjusted pricing, and there's continuous pricing. Optimized pricing is, as it works, fares and availability. Let's improve that process. Adjusted pricing is how do we adjust the price at the time of the search or the shop? And then the continuous pricing is how do we set a framework that allows you to price on demand. With this simplified model, there's descriptions on it, and on your cheat sheet, it'll tell you what you get as far as capabilities, what you need from infrastructure, and where we are at the industry readiness. For the first one, the optimized pricing, we implemented an implementation guide for one of the aspects of how we improve it, which is dual RBD. It's outside. If you're an airline, if you're a system and you haven't explored that, take a look at that, provide your feedback, tell us your learnings from that so we see how we can help educate each other on what works and doesn't work. This year at the conference, we have a new implementation guide. It's for the dynamic price adjustment. Same thing. We walked all the way from shop to settle, identified all of the things that need to be ready and how you start implementing a dynamic price adjustment. And last but not least, continuous pricing. We will be starting to do continuous pricing pilots. In these adjusted pricing and continuous pricing, we're still in the test and learn stage. We have standards being published out there for you to evaluate, and we'll be continue to iterate on those and implement those in the upcoming year. And on the continuous pricing, we are working through and piloting and learning. However, before you even get started, here's my word of advice. What's the first step in your journey? And it really goes back to what we talked a little bit on the stage last year when American Airlines came up there and he said, you know what? If I just had better connectivity, a better way to interact with adjusting price in the current framework, there's huge benefits with that. So that's your first step. If you're not using our APIs, our connectivities, our interactions with it, you should do that. We've partnered, and we partnered with the Mercury system, American Airlines. It's now being used 2 carriers. We've connected uploads and downloads and API connectivity. We're happy to do that with each and every one of the airlines to make that more efficient. Next, you need to have good fare values being fed into your dynamic pricing engine. We are the global repository of the most current fare information in the world. We can feed that system into here to drive your analytics. I want to announce today we have just signed a partnership agreement with PROS where they'll be calculating our fare rule output product and driving that into their PROS yield management system, which they're one of the biggest yield management providers in the world, to help bring product and yield management even closer together. At this time, I want to bring up Surain from PROS on the stage and talk about this great partnership.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Exciting times. You've been with PROS for quite some time doing dynamic pricing, yield management solutions for the industry for quite some time now. So first question I have you, so why fare values are so important into the yield management process and on the journey to dynamic pricing?
Right, for sure. Yeah, I've been at PROS for 26 years. We were a 15-person company when I first started. And in that journey, we've seen revenue management evolve quite a bit. But at every stage of revenue management, having accurate reflection of market prices is sort of the key to the entire science of revenue management. Whether it's demand forecasting, the optimization portion of it, et cetera, having that correct indicative fare is a very important part of getting the right results at the end. So we've always been very focused on that and worked on technology to try to improve that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So why ATPCO and PROS? Why does it make a good partnership in your mind?
Well, we've used FROP for many years. It's been very efficient, accurate, and useful in the revenue management process. It's been a very good product. But as times have changed, we believe that there's an opportunity now to bring other factors to really improve that offering for the airline world by partnering with ATPCO, doing fare construction, adding rules, et cetera. At PROS, we've moved all of our technology to the cloud, so we can now bring cloud-based computing resources to enhance the entire process and really have a much better reflection of future fares that can be used for better revenue management. And that's especially important as we go to offer optimization, and the offer is just more than a seat. It's all the ancillary revenues, et cetera.
Excellent. So maybe one more question. So what's next? Where can we go next with this journey, and where do you see the opportunities for deeper collaboration at the industry or with ATPCO?
Well, I think with cloud-based computing, we really have an opportunity to have tremendous scalability of the computation of these fares. There's a lot more we can do with bringing additional data sources from ATPCO into the whole computation of future prediction of fares. And there's a lot of science that can be added to this as well. So we really believe that this is the first step of really coming up with a much more sophisticated way of presenting future forward-looking fares that's going to really improve the revenue management process. There have been studies done by many, including PODS, that show that having the right market fares or fare inputs are the critical piece to doing proper revenue management, demand estimation. And as we move forward with willingness to pay calculations, dynamic pricing, instead of the more static class-based approaches of the past. The historical ways airlines have done this with average fares or historical fares just don't work. We have to have new advanced technologies like this.
Excellent. Any other thoughts or things you want to share with the audience?
I would just say this is a very exciting phase in the airline industry as airlines are becoming more retailers rather than selling seats on a plane. So airlines are really rethinking the entire approach of how they approach the consumer, the millennials who want an Amazon-type experience, how they can present them transparent offers. And all of these things are a critical part for airlines to achieve this goal, to be more effective. And those who do are really going to be able to stand out and really take a market advantage.
Excellent. I'll encourage each airline here that if you want to test us and see what we can do, I think there's a lot of capabilities between the two companies to help enable dynamic pricing, dynamic offer generation in the future. If you're not using fare values to feed your yield management system, start now. It's an easy lift. And if you want us to extend that to other capabilities with ancillaries, with other items, give us a call. Bring it on. We're happy to take it on and take a look at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Frank.